Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, January 7th. Just a quick note, I read through your comments and I will answer them later this morning, but all of them are spot on. Thank you, especially you, Amos, Pete. What are we going to do today? Today is going to be what I feel is the forecast for the coming next year and the next 4 years. This should really make your head spin, right? Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, today is Tuesday, January 7th of 2025. So what are we going to be talking about today? Today is going to be my forecast of what's coming down the pike this year and the next 3 years afterwards. And why am I saying this year and the next 3 years afterwards? It's because the person at the top of the helm will have taken office this coming month on the 20th and will dictate what goes on for the next 4 years, right? And what I'm saying is, he's making a lot of threats right now of increasing tariffs coming into the country because up until now, like China has enjoyed, almost zero tariffs. And we used to be set up as a country that said, okay, if we allow you to sell $10 in our country, then you need to allow us to sell $10 in your country. Now, if you're going to have a 10% tariff on our stuff coming into your country, we will do so on our end too. And when that was going on, we did a lot of our own manufacturing. We employed a lot of people. And were the prices a little higher? Yeah, but it was in balance compared to what you were making on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? People weren't rich. Your average person was middle class, and could afford some of the finer things in life, right? But nobody went without. And what I've seen the last 4 years is basically porous borders. We're having a flood of people coming in, and the businesses are not putting up a fuss because they got cheap labor. And the politicians are not putting up a fuss because I'm a Democrat. The Democrats are not putting up a fuss because they were looking at possible future voters, right? We've seen crime skyrocket where people that should be in jail they have the cashless bail or no bail or what have you, and people are back out on the streets creating mayhem before the police have a chance to even finish the paperwork. And back in they come. And they can come back in and out numerous times in a day. We made the police the bad guys. And they aren't. They're the good guys. Are there bad people within the police department? Absolutely. Are there bad people within our small engine repair and in business? Absolutely. But the bulk of the people that are there are good. And they took up that employment because they wanted to help people. Same thing with your EMT rescues, firemen, all that. They did it because they want to help people. So basically, what does that mean for us peons? Well, I know with Trump, He's going to force the issue because China doesn't allow us to sell anything within their country. You may not have known that. But yeah, China does not want any competition in their country. They have a inclusion, right? So you're thinking, well, that's going to lead to higher prices. It will in the beginning. Yep. But for the people that want to work, there's going to be good paying jobs because he's going to start back up the production of gas and oil within the U.S. He's going to do so in such a way that we're going to go back to exporting natural gas to countries like Great Britain and them that are getting it from Russia right now because of the economy the way it is, right? He's going to slash a lot of the regulations that even us in the small engine repair industry are trying to follow. He's going to raise the medium household income for the middle class. Everybody's going to get a boost, right? And I've heard so many times say he's a man just for the wealthy. I don't believe so. I think he's a man for anybody that wants to work and put in a good day's work for a good day's pay. And I think he's raised his kids that way. His kids are not like the ones that I described this past weekend. They're not all screwed up. They got a good head on their shoulders. And they're part of, if they want to, the main business, which is Trump Enterprise or Trump something. And why is that? Because he wanted his kids to understand that you have to work for what you get. And he wasn't handing out. Those kids started entry level. And he did that so that they understood the business from the ground up. And they understood what it's like to be an employee on the bottom end and up through the ranks, right? And that's a good thing. Because if you can understand what it's like to be an employee, good chances are you're going to treat your employees a hell of a lot better. That every employee is important to that business, and every employee has a job to do. And if they're not doing that job, that everybody suffers, right? So his kids have got good heads on the shoulders because they weren't just handed. Even though President Trump could have done what a lot of other wealthy families do. He's been very involved as a father and grandfather. So what do I see for us? Well, I think you're going to see lower gas prices because you're going to see domestic oil, natural gas, and that translates to gas in our vehicles a lot cheaper. I think you're going to see, if he does put tariffs on China, we're going to see an increase in prices, all right, for parts to put into the units. And why do I say that? Because you still have all the aftermarket companies and all the OEM companies having their stuff manufactured in China. So in order to get that back into the U.S., they're going to have to pay tariffs, right, on that stuff. The tariffs aren't just for the Chinese trying to sell in our markets. It's also for anybody that's got a manufacturing plant over there and wanting to bring it back into the U.S. If that makes any sense. What I see for us is the average person that I deal with is not upper middle class. They're middle class and down, all right? I'll be honest with you. But what I foresee, maybe not this year, but next year, is you're going to see the bulk of my customers, their disposable income will go up. And what happens when their disposable income goes up? They're less likely to want to attempt changing the oil on their lawnmowers or swapping a belt or whatever, because they have the extra money now and they don't want to even deal with it. So that means better increased business for us and for you. Like I say, it's going to take a while to get stuff in place. Now, if he's already got stuff all lined up and he's already talking with everybody. He's been meeting with world leaders from all over the world, and he's also got his key team out there already making deals. You know, you're going to hear the fluff on the news and this and that. Don't even get involved in that. They're doing that just for show. Everything else that they're doing quietly is what you should be concentrating on. Now, short term, are we going to see anything right off the bat? Probably not. But if we can hang in there, I think long term, over the next 4 years, we're going to see an increase back up to maybe just what you were before all this took place, of where the medium households didn't have any disposable. And I'll tell you, prices have been going steadily up in the grocery store. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, it's gone up. And that doesn't make any sense. And I was watching a video done by a guy that was talking about the vehicles. And he was saying that the vehicles should reflect the costs that go into it, right? And he was saying to manufacture that vehicle in the U.S., 80% of the cost of that vehicle was labor, right? And I don't know what the unions, what the people were getting paid per hour. I don't even get into that. But with them sourcing and moving their manufacturing out of the U.S. to Canada, Mexico, what have you, the ones that went to Mexico, you know that they're only paying pennies on the dollar compared to what they were paying a U.S. worker. And that's what this guy was saying, that if you wanted to buy a vehicle and that manufacturing went to Mexico, shouldn't the price that we pay for that vehicle fall in the same lines? 80% should be the cost of labor. So that should lower the price for that vehicle back into a realistic realm of 20s and 30,000s instead of 50s and 60s. But he said that the manufacturers aren't doing that. If anything, the bulk of them are raising it 20 to 22% higher than what they were the year before. But my son was telling me with the Fords, he said the 26s are going to be a lot cheaper than what the 25s are. They're just coming out. So he said it's hard for him to tell somebody to go out and buy a vehicle this year when that same vehicle next year is going to be a lot less. But what I'm seeing right now is a lot of these dealers and a lot of these, and maybe that's you, that is sitting on a lot of inventory from the year before, and now you've got a whole yard full of stuff, brand new, that you can't sell, that you're marking down to sell just to get it off the lot. And I saw another video of a guy, he's pointing at his trailer, and he said, what's in that trailer is not worth what I paid for it. And it's, you know, he's loading it up so that you're curious about what he's got on the trailer, right? So he opens the trailer doors, and there's a beautiful Skidoo. I think it's a Polaris. And he drives it out and has it sitting there. And he said, I paid 2 years ago for this sled. I had to special order it just the way I wanted it. But it was $23,900 is what I paid for this sled. And he said I had to wait for it. He said I finally got it before snow season last year. But he said with not much snow, it didn't get ridden, so it stayed on the trailer. So he said it's basically still a brand new sled, right? With, I think he had 5 miles on it. But he said that a buddy went out this year and bought the exact same sled with all the options that he chose and paid $5,000 less. And the guy's pissed. Understandably, but he's pissed. What really it translates to is that the dealers sitting on those models need to get them off inventory. So how are you going to do that? You're either going to sell them at cost, or in some cases below cost, just to get them out and get that money back into the coffers again. Because most of your dealerships now own that equipment. They may go through GE Finance and stuff like that, but they're buying it from the manufacturer, right? And with people's disposable income being way down and nobody buying over the past 4 years and the dealers loaded up since COVID, I couldn't see anything else but a fire sale. Because since COVID, everybody was buying like crazy, right? And the dealers ran out of inventory. And they started reorder. And some of them got 3 orders in the same time all these other dealers did too. And now instead of sitting on a year's inventory to try to sell within that year, they're sitting on 3 full years of inventory that they're trying to sell in that given year. And now with the disposable income being down, they don't have a sale. And the ones that do have the money are looking for bargains. Can't blame them. So we as dealers, we have to make that call of, is it better to have all these 1 and 2 year old models sitting on the lot? And if things happen the way they're supposed to happen, even the price of sleds, lawnmowers, and so forth should come down a little bit. But the sales will go up because disposable income will be there and people can afford to buy toys. Right now, I think most people have got just enough money, maybe not enough money, to try to cover just their basics, food, clothing, shelter, all that. Because food prices have gone up. If you want to buy a home, it's stupid money, right? For interest rates, I would hold off. It's going to come down. Buying anything has increased. But what hasn't increased is most people's income levels. Their dollar is not buying anywhere near what it did 4 years ago. And people are feeling the pinch. And I even heard that there's a lot of people that have been using their credit cards just for the basics to get things paid. So it's going to take them a while to dig themselves back out of that hole as well before they can start looking at new equipment or having other people work on their equipment. So I'm going to start wrapping things up. But what I'm looking at is the short term is still going to be a little bit of a struggle. Long term, we're going to do all right. We're going to start seeing the levels that we saw pre-Biden, pre the last 4 years. But your average person, family that brings the stuff to you or buys from you or what have you, it's going to take them a little bit of time to get caught up first. And that's common sense. But once they get caught up or close to it, yes, we'll start seeing it. On that note, you guys have a great, great Tuesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. In the comments, what are your thoughts for this year and out? I mean, for a lot of shops, they're contemplating right now whether just to shut down, to quit, because they've seen such a horrible past 3 to 4 years, and they've gone and exhausted. I know some dealerships, they have tapped into their finances for the family finances. And I know for me, I've had to tap into savings at times. I'm doing it right now, but a lot of the reason I'm doing it right now is because of what transpired, going on 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago. And I'm not in that position of where I'm bringing in an income, right? And Claude is trying to do everything, including feeding my cows. So he's doing the work of 2 people. But things are going to get better. If you could hang in there, you're going to see things are going to get better. And hopefully even us will get caught up and get the money rolling again. So on that note, again, you guys have a great Tuesday.